The sun hung low over the small frontier town, spilling gold into the dust and turning the street into a river of heat. A crowd had gathered near the hitching rail, the air thick with the creak of leather, the smell of sweat, horsehide, and dust rising in lazy clouds under boot heels. A chestnut mare stood tied, head low, sides heaving in the warmth. Beside her, barefoot and still as a fence post, stood Clara Mayfield, skirts frayed to threads, cheeks blotched from sun and humiliation. She had been here before, not in place but in feeling, watched Wade whispered about. Lyle Denton, the horse trader, grinned as if he held the sun itself in his hand. Fine mare, he called to the men fanning themselves in the heat. And for a touch more, you get the girl too, cooks better than she rides. Laughter licked around her like flames. Somewhere behind her, a woman's voice, sharp as a thorn, a shame, she was such a pretty thing. Clara kept her chin up, though her neck burned. She had known prettier dresses, shoes without holes, and days when her name was said without pity. That was before her husband gambled away the land, before he left her with nothing but debt. Her father's words had stung more than any loss. You're another man's mistake. The auction began. A man in the back offered a low bid for the mare. Clara's eyes followed Lyle's smirk as he looked for higher offers. That's when she saw him, a man standing slightly apart from the others. Elias Hart. Dusted hat, plain clothes, boots worn but cared for. No boasting, no loud words. He was there for the horse, anyone could see that. But his gaze, when it lifted, landed on her, not like the others did. It was not appraisal, nor pity. It was something quieter. Recognition, maybe. Her pulse stuttered when his eyes shifted back to the mare. Heat and fear tangled in her chest. The words left her before she could stop them. "Don't buy the horse," she called, her voice cracking but carrying clear over the murmurs. "By me, rancher. I'll be yours forever." The crowd gasped, a ripple of shock, laughter, and scandal. A child's voice asked what she meant. The mother shushed him. Elias didn't smile. He just looked at her as though weighing something that had nothing to do with money. Then he raised his hand. Slowly. Not just for the mare. Lyle blinked, surprised, then laughed. "Package deal," he said, and called the sale in Elias's favor. Coins clinked, worn smooth from years of passing between hands. Clara stepped away from the rail. It wasn't rope that had tied her there, but the invisible cord of shame, and it slackened now. She walked toward him, the dust warm under her bare feet. He didn't offer to pull her up onto the wagon, just extended a hand to steady her as she climbed. Then, as they started down the street, he took off his hat and settled it low over her face, a shield from the stairs behind them. They left the town behind, the wagon creaking, hooves clopping steady. Wind whispered through the grass. Clara kept her eyes low under the brim, studying him from the corner of her vision. His hands on the reins were steady, his jaw set like a man who knew storms when he saw them. "Thank you," she murmured. He nodded once. They made camp before nightfall, the horizon bruised with clouds. The wind came first, then rain in hard silver slants. Elias led her to an old barn leaning in the field, smelling of hay and damp wood. He built a fire from dry scraps and poured her coffee, though his own hands shook just slightly. Through the roof's broken slats, rain dripped in soft rhythms. "You won't be anyone's bargain again," he said quietly, looking into the flames. His voice carried no ceremony, no demand for gratitude, only the solid weight of truth. She didn't answer. She just let the words settle in the places still raw, inside her. By morning, the storm had scrubbed the air clean. Sunlight stretched over the prairie as they rolled on toward his ranch. Midway, a group of riders appeared from the direction of town. One called out, laughing, "Fine mare you got there, Hart, and a finer prize with her." Clara's spine stiffened. The old shame rushed up fast, hot as the midday sun. But Elias didn't slow, didn't look at them. His left hand stayed on the reins, and with his right, he reached back, palm open. No words, just the offer. She placed her hand in his. That was all, but felt like something had been carved into stone between them, not the vows made in churches, but the quiet, enduring kind that no gossip could break. They say the West was built on land and cattle, but I tell you it was built on moments like that, when someone reached through your ruin and didn't see the dust, only the gold beneath. Clara didn't belong to the crowd that day. She belonged to the man who saw her and still wanted to keep her. And maybe that's all we're ever looking for, a hand that doesn't pull us up to change us, but to walk beside us as we are. The wagon rolled on toward the horizon, the chestnut mare trotting alongside, and Clara's face turned toward the wind, eyes open and unafraid.